I've been going back through some of the original VR experiences that are out there, which were more sedate, sit in your place and experience the world around you. And I quite like that style of VR, and I'm glad that these things exist and that occasionally you still get some of these experiences today. Apollo 11 VR is one of these better ones, and the reason why I think it's better is because it tackles edutainment in a way that makes it feel like a documentary, in a way, and it takes you back to what it feels like to be back in the 60s and the optimism and the grandeur of going to the moon. In a way, I think it's really difficult to recreate the kind of sense of excitement that seemed to have been portrayed in that era in a world where everything is so deep faked and CGI'd and you don't know what's real and what's not in 2023. This does it in a interesting way. So the game opens with you sitting as just a general person in a 1960s living room watching an old style CRT TV and the famous speech of "let's get to the moon by the end of the decade and win the space race" taking place around you. And that use of real world audio carries throughout the entire experience. So as you're wandering onto the space pad to climb up and get inside your Apollo 11 to blast off, you've got all of like NASA's chat in the background going on about getting ready for launch and checking all of the different things are correct and all of that kind of thing. Then once you're sat in the actual cockpit itself, you can really lean in and see the detail of all the different switches, and it looks like it's been really well recreated. And if it hasn't, then it's made it look very, very grand when you're sat in there, alongside a couple of your famous space friends as you blast off to the moon. The actual blast off itself is relatively understated, and depending if you're playing in cinematic or interactive mode, you might have to do some bits during that. But what I really liked is that you're kept in the experience, so you're busy like peering out of the window, seeing the world fall behind you, and then slowly everything getting darker as you end up into the deep black of space. There are some cinematic moments where it takes a camera outside and shows Apollo 11 kind of detaching various elements of it as it goes towards the moon. And then once you've landed back on the moon, you're back inside and experiencing that kind of bounce around and doing some steps and all of that kind of stuff. It feels so monumental because of that use of real audio all around you, calling the president, for example, and chatting on the phone. The one giant step for mankind being dropped in there. There's so many iconic moments that have now just become part of pop culture that drop into all of this. It just works really, really well. The experience is over in just over an hour. I bought this at 50% off in a recent sale on the PlayStation Network, had a whale of a time with it. Yes, some of the graphics are a little bit ropey perhaps for 2023, but I think the intent is there, and so many experiences, particularly when it's edutainment, take away the grandeur of it or try to infuse fake grandeur back in again in the wrong places. And this just lets you ride the whole experience. And I think that does more good than harm when you're in a space rocket blasting off into space. Apollo 11 VR is out on a variety of different platforms. This is the PSVR one that you're seeing on your screen, and I give it a thumbs up, particularly if you grab it on sale.